Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Just Enough Heshy show. And I have some wonderful, good-looking guests, even better looking than my co-host, Ezra. How are you, Ezra?
Is that a dig or
I don't know.
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Ezra. Welcome back to the show. I hope you had a good week. By the way, I want to introduce my three wonderful guests. I only thought I had two. Vito, Labella. Did I say that correctly?
Labella.
Labella. I love that. That's very Italianish.
Is it?
I thought it was. Do I know better? I'm a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Bed-Stuy. I don't know better. Anyways, welcome to the show, Vito.
Thank you.
Dmitry, and I'm going to say your name very badly. Can you tell us? Kugel. So, because Kugel, we call it whatever. It's a special meal. You know that. We have a little Kugel.
I'm a Jew.
I know you are. But a lot of my audience doesn't know that. Kugel is a delicious, tasty meal, and I can't say that about you, but you are delicious. George, welcome to the show. You got to tell us your name, of course.
George Sarantopoulos.
George, and you are...
I'm running Vito Labella's campaign.
He's running Vito Cabello, and he's a very nice man, and he was trying to hurt me before. But
his wife also is helping run the campaign. So if he doesn't jump in, I will.
Okay. Well, you know what?
My wife.
My wife of 32 years, I can't leave her. She has all the money, so of course I tell everybody that. But everybody, welcome to the show. We're going to have a little chat. Vito is running for the Assembly, for a state Senate. And I do have it written down over here. The 17th district. Now, is that a new district?
Yes, well, all the gerrymandering,
Right.
everything is new. But, that was created by splitting up Marty Golden's old district.
And Dmitry, you are running as an assemblyman. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And you're doing it more, Benson, you are the, which district?
47th
district. So we have two guys, and we're both Republicans and conservatives, if I remember I was reading that
Yes,
correctly?
that's correct.
So we have some people that are going to make some changes. Yes, guys, I do support them 100%. I know the Democratic thing, and my opinion of changing parties is going to happen soon. We're going to start our show in a minute, but I want to start a quote. And I brought a quote for my three guests, but really it was for the two of them. I didn't know you were coming, George. Here it is. Bring humor and bringing happiness and joy to the audience is a wonderful opportunity in life. I would like to be remembered as a man who had wonderful time living life, a man who had good friends, fine family, and I don't think I could ask for anything more than that, actually. And by this quote, I mean is our job is there are a lot of people with issues every single day, from the mental health people. I have a lot of young ones. I go to the special needs, the homeless shelters, and I see people in trouble. All they need is a little joy. All they need is sometimes you guys think they need $1 million. Me and Linda bring them pizza every Saturday night. They're so happy with a pie. Really, they're so happy and they don't even get the pie. I eat a whole pie, George, by the way. They have a slice. They're so happy. This is what it is to bring joy to somebody for a few minutes, and that is what our politicians have to do to make our lives better. Now I'm going to tell you a funny joke. I usually make fun of Linda, and Ezra never laughs. Please, I hope somebody laughs this week. Anyways, when I was dating my beautiful wife, Linda, of 32 years, and we were engaged, so Linda was attending fashion college, and she took an art class, and she asked me if she could paint my portrait for one of the class assignments. I agreed. And she painted me, and she submitted the portrait, and you won't believe what grade she got, Ezra. What do you think she got?
I think she got an A+. You look like a monkey or something?
She got a C. So Linda approached her professor and said, why did I get such a poor grade? She says, well, he told her the proportions of the painting weren't correct. The head is too big. The shoulders are too wide. His feet are enormous. So Linda asked me to come to school the next day with her. When the professor looked at me, he says, okay, you get an A.
There you go. That's actually funny.
Okay, go jump in the lake. I don't like it. Guys, we're going to start our show now. First of all, we're going to have to do a quick commercial. Ezra, I hope you remember this commercial, of course. Ezra, by the way, Ezra Levy's a wonderful man. I call him in the middle of the night when young boys are arrested, people are stuck, I need help. He picks up his phone, he comes running, he helps me all the time. Ezra Levy, attorney at law, specializing in all criminal matters, including weapon possession. I'm not happy with weapons. I don't care what you will say. Drug offenses, domestic violence, theft offenses, assaults, DWI, criminal and family court, order protection offenses. His phone number is, Ezra?
917-755-1187.
917-755-1187. Ezra Levy Law Firm, EZRA LevyLawfirm@gmail.com. Did I finally get that right?
Excellent.
Good. Call Ezra Levy, 917-755-1187. He's always there. He picks up my call 1, 2 in the morning. Ezra's wonderful. He's helped so many. By the way, Ezra was a public defender.
I was a legal aid attorney for 18 and a half years. Forgive me, but it was a different. I'd like to say it was a different place. It's not,
but he has helped many people. I've seen the people that he's helped that were in trouble. You're right. You have to help everybody. And Ezra is one of those people, and I'm so proud that he's my friend. Boys, we're going to ask the first question, especially to you, Vito. Do I have to ask? Lee Zeldin, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
But everybody's telling us no chance.
That's not true.
Not true.
Not true at all. He's going to take this. We see that, listen, we see the way it's trending. It's trending up every single day over the weeks, and you're going to see that. And plus, we have the people that are going to vote for him that don't want to say they're going to vote for him. I think Lee's going to take it by 5 points at least.
Wow. You see, you're one of my boys. You grew up here. You were in our community. You grew up as a kid. So you know the people. But Dmitry, you came from a different country. You saw the struggles and the way people stabbed you in the back, and, you know, the way you had to fight, and you had to fight your way back here. And a lot of the people that you know can tell you one thing and say another thing. Do you really believe Lee Zeldin? Because look at my community. I'm not knocking my community. 1 minute we're all for Lee Zeldin, and then somehow Hochul just woke up the last week and she's making deals and coming out of the woodwork. What do you think? I mean, she's playing the game well, or does Lee really? What you think with your community, in your district, your friends? Do you really believe Zeldin is going to knock it out, like he said, like Vito said?
I think Zeldin's going to take it. Reason being, Hochul waits very, very long to make a decision. First, she says one thing, then she says another, then does a U-turn, speaks to someone. People tell her, you won't get the vote if you don't do this. She does it. Does she mean it? Do you trust her? This is a person who was not elected to begin with.
Right. And
she's doing this while not being elected. Can you imagine what she's going to do if she gets elected?
Ezra says that when Lee Zeldin gets elected, Lee said that he was going to fire Bragg. I am so proud when he said that. Is that possible? Ezra says it's not possible.
I'd say it's not possible.
It's possible.
It's going to happen, but it's not going to happen the first day.
Well, you're going to remember that question, Vito, because you're going to better tell us.
I don't think you could do it the first day. Just let me clarify.
What do you say? If you get elected, will you be standing there screaming and hollering with him?
Of course. If I get elected, when I get elected, when Vito gets elected, when a few others, our Republican brothers, get elected, it's done. We're going to fix this crime wave that's been taking over our communities. We're going to make sure that these people
It's
who
okay.
are crazy, they don't come back. You do the crime, you do the time.
You know, our communities where we grew up, and you're talking, I know you're the 17th, but Borough Park, Flatbush, Bensonhurst, Gravesend, these are communities that really are pretty safe communities. The other day, I made a video, one of my son's brother-in-laws, they were robbed 12 houses on a 3-block area in one night.
It was my neighborhood.
And it's
My
not,
neighborhood.
and I'm not even so nervous about the robberies, but people were living in the homes.
So it
People
was
were
a
in the
burglary
homes.
then.
They could have hurt them or killed them.
A bunch of burglaries.
How did they get away with this?
His area, by the way, one of our candidates had his catalytic converter stolen in front of his house. It took them 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Do you have a solution for that?
You do the crime, you go to jail.
Cashless bail?
Absolutely not.
Vito?
I mean, come on. It's not just cashless bail. It's raise the age. It's all the discovery. Listen, all the discovery changes. Tell us about it. I mean, they're horrible.
Right. So I'm just going to answer Vito's question. First of all, I'm not a big fan of all the changes that they made. The discovery laws, I think, is the least of the problems that came through. So just understand, until 2020, you couldn't get it unless you worked in you had a Brooklyn case, because Brooklyn really, the discovery laws haven't changed in Brooklyn. You couldn't get discovery until the eve of trial if you're a defense attorney. So you really were going in blind. New York had the worst discovery laws in the whole country, and it went from one extreme to the other extreme. And I think, as I've said this, I think the bail reform was a good idea, but it was taken to an illogical extreme. I mean, it started with we didn't want a shoplifter in jail for a year and a half waiting for trial in the Bronx, which is what happens in the Bronx. Every case takes a year and a half to trial. So some kid stole a knapsack. He died in prison because Ray Crowder.
He got out of prison and then he committed
suicide as a result. So, but the thing is, and because of that, all of a sudden now, you commit a violent felony, you're still getting out without bail. So again, one extreme to the other. I used to joke around with DAs when I was working that in Raymond's. I said I want to ask for release on a violent felon if you don't ask for if you don't ask for bail on anything else. It's a joke because we each know it's not happening, and the judges are going to set bail. Now they don't even have discretion.
Can we do anything about the judges, Vito? Can we do anything?
We got to give them, Ezra knows, we got to give them the discretion to decide if someone is dangerous, if someone has absconded in the past, if someone is on parole, if someone's
Can we
repeat
pick
offender.
better judges? You are allowing only certain people to pick judges. We don't really get to pick those judges. Am I correct?
Well, we're electing judges, right? We're electing the same judges. They're running Republican, conservative. I mean,
That's the biggest problem. If you look at, my sister called me yesterday. She said, "Look, I'm voting early. You know any of these people running?" I'm like, it really doesn't make a difference.
They're all the same.
They're running against themselves. But I mean, and it's the problem. The Republican Party, until recently, when we're getting strong candidates like the two gentlemen here today, the Republican, especially in New York City, Republican Party was non-existent. So it would be a rubber stamp to whoever the Democratic bosses want to put. I'm actually against electing judges. I think it's the worst thing you could do. I think it really should be, a panel of the state CJA, OCA officials, the governor's office, the mayor's offices. They should be making. They have screening committees. They assign a third of the judges to begin with. They assign a third of the judges.
Are there other places where they do that way?
Most states have elected, and a lot of times you get crooked. You get crooked judges that way also. If a judge is beholden to a voter, you're asking for problems. They become politicians instead of judges.
Well, Dmitry, I think it was, I don't think I'm going to make a funny comment, but Dmitry, it must have been a good idea to start defunding the police because we need the money for the homeless issue, for the people, the homeless immigrants coming to, illegally coming to New York City. We needed now for the 1,700 people we're housing, $1 billion. Maybe we should defund all the police, Vito. What do you think about that?
Please don't do that.
I know. How does, you got to explain to me, how do we even say such a thing? Are we just on, are we all crazy?
Well, the real thing is, how do politicians who are elected by the people who promise to serve and protect them, how do they say something?
And what are you going to do about it?
Well, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do another, in addition to the laws we've already spoken about, we have I break it down this way. We have anti-police laws that passed, and we have pro-criminal laws. We've spoken about the 3 pro-criminal laws. We also have the anti-police laws, the taking away of qualified immunity, and the diaphragm law is a horrible.
It's not a workable law in the first place.
What is the diaphragm?
So
You
the
gotta
diaphragm law is
explain it.
basically anytime if you put any pressure on a suspect's diaphragm to arrest them, the police officers now committed a violation or a crime.
Misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor, and sometimes it can even be worse. And the thing is, now Vito, you are a retired police officer. We didn't go into these gentlemen's experience, but Vito's
I watched Vito at one of the
Vito's a
your
retired
news conferences.
lieutenant,
I
correct?
love you. I just love you.
You're a retired lieutenant, am I correct?
32 years in the police department, 24 years as a
How
lieutenant.
many arrests did you make, sir?
Well, I was a sergeant after 3 years, and I
Okay,
was in the
before
police
you-
academy. So I got to be truthful. My name is not on a lot of paperwork,
that's
but
right.
I was
Participated in it.
responsible for tens of thousands of arrests.
How many times did they say thank you for putting the cuffs on me? I'm gonna go peacefully.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm very proud of this. So out of the tens of thousands of arrests that I personally made, my cop was with me. We made an arrest. I got people to
cooperate.
To cooperate. And the handful of times, and I'm talking about hundreds of times out of tens of thousands of arrests, that we had a fight with people, you know what? We did what we had to do. The force was directed to the objective, which is the handcuffing and controlling them. And then we got them up, and then none of my collars, none of my arrests resulted in someone receiving serious physical injury or being hospitalized.
Very good. So
I'm very proud of that.
I'm going to tell you, I think
But
your experience is usually the rule for most officers. I'm going to be
But sometimes,
as a defense
Vito,
attorney,
you
not
have
going to expect that. But
Vito, how come the police officers must arrest? Sometimes these arrests are stupid or tickets are stupid. Can't the police officer be allowed, like in the olden times with the little towns, to say, hey, this is something stupid. It's not something serious. You can't just put somebody in jail for, for having a protest or you're being angry at him or him fighting on the street. The cops are supposed to be not like judges, but they're grown men like you and me. Shouldn't they be able to be allowed to make a decision without every 2 minutes to go running around?
That's a real question?
It's a real question. I mean, shouldn't the cops be able to be?
You have discretion.
We see they're not locking up anybody. So
Right,
not too
but
much discretion
before
right
that,
now.
you did have discretion.
Well, I mean, of course you have discretion, but you need to follow some guidelines,
Of course,
right?
there's a patrol guide.
But even guidelines, we need to have guidelines of what you do when you do it, okay? Because what you need to remember is that if you let somebody go and you don't do a name check, who knows what he's wanted
You have
for,
to do a
right?
warrant
You gotta
check,
do
you
a
have to
warrant
make
check,
sure.
do a name check.
Okay.
And then once you see he doesn't have a history, you should be able to give him a warning. I'd advocated
Right, but you don't give warnings anymore.
That's not true.
Well, that's not true.
That's not true.
And what I would,
It's never been true. That's
I-
never been true.
Okay.
That's never been true.
what they should do is you have the summons, and they should take the fine schedule and put a line through the fine schedule and put WA, warn and admonish.
I love him.
And
I
this
swear
way-
I love
So you have a
you.
record.
And this way you have a record of what they do, and other municipalities
be
have
elected.
warnings,
So
written warnings.
It's
Yeah,
basically it's
George,
basically like a
I
stop
love him.
frisk card. that we used to
Except
do.
the difference is that you've actually stopped them for a violation.
Right.
So it's not like people can say, well, I
Right.
wasn't doing anything
Exactly.
and you stopped me for no reason. Yes, you were doing something. We stopped you and we gave you a written warning. And the next time somebody stops you, we know, hey, dude, you've been stopped 5 times.
Right.
Maybe it's time you get a summons.
Dmitry, I want to ask you a question. We recently had an issue in the Jewish community. There's a gentleman by the name of Kanye West. I don't know if you know him. He
Sounds familiar.
I mean, I used to like him, but he's acting crazy right now. People ask me
Not
questions
an
about
act.
him.
It's not an act.
I have no idea, but I'm not talking about him specifically. The anti-Semitism. I mean, Mr. Kugel, I don't want to just call you Dmitry. You know anti-Semitism, you know hate personally, and I'm talking to you on the personal matters. What are you going to do? How are you going to stop this? What are you going to do for me? I, as a Republican, I mean, I need you to stop it. I can't go on anymore that people are walking down the streets calling me names, and then a lot of other people can come and attack, punch, and you saw those videos of me. I'm sure you all watch. Attack on the streets. Not only the Jewish people they come after, the Asian people. They come after a lot of my older people in the Italian, in your community. But they really come after the elderly, and you guys don't even know how they attack them and rob them. How do we stop it? What do we stop? We're lost. I have no idea.
Well, first of all, anti-Semitism, alive and well. Kicking, growing, great thing that, the haters love to do. What we've got going on now is all these cashless bail laws, all these, take in, get out, what is it, up and out?
Yeah.
What do they call
Catch
them?
and release.
Catch and release.
Catch
There
and
we go.
release.
Right.
I mean, we have hate laws for a purpose, right?
Right. Are they being enforced? No.
They're not.
It can't be.
They're not. They can't be. Exactly. We have judges that have absolutely no discretion at all. What they do is they follow the arrest. If a cop thinks he arrested someone, this person is no threat, let's say, and lets him out, why would a judge lock him up?
But Mr. Assemblyman, my question to you is that you have state judges that belong to you, that will belong to you, and I see from personal history that these cases don't end in a day. They go on 3, 4, 5 years. Why can't we move things along?
Zero tolerance. Zero tolerance for hate crimes.
But the thing, I guess, just when the backlog has always been there. All right, it's always been there.
Can we stop that?
You can't because
Why?
Because the only way you stop that is by pleading everything out.
Not pleading. I have a lot of clients.
want
I have a
you
lot
want-
of
you want
issues.
you
I do
want
the
everything to
same
go to
thing
trial?
like you people.
You want everything to go to trial?
I want things
You'll
to
never
move
finish.
along.
Yeah, very
Mandatory
nice.
time.
Not even-
Mandatory time.
Stop. You can move things along. If a
The
good
mandatory
businessman.
time is not a practical solution.
It sounds like-
Mandatory
I agree
time
with-
for all hate crimes.
Okay. You're gonna have
That's it.
I'm saying, and this is as a practitioner. I've been practicing criminal law for 24 years. Okay, anytime you make a blanket policy, it backfires. Especially if you have a district like you both you're running in New York, in Brooklyn. So for a long time there was a mandatory 1 year minimum on a gun case. So what happened? Every gun case went into trial. If you won over a year, half of them went to trial. Try to get a Brooklyn jury to convict somebody on a case when it's a pure cop case. We won many cases. Like, I won a trial on a gun case where my guy was literally stopped for smoking a joint while driving his car, and he's sitting on the gun. And I still was able to get an acquittal because the jury just wouldn't convict.
Having
They
a
want to
weapon.
send him to jail for a year. Is that
Well,
why?
because they want to send him for a year. You have to understand, when you have a zero tolerance policy, you're just begging for bad acquittals as far as citizens.
The
are
jury
concerned.
nullification.
It's not even jury nullification. It's jury nullification because, unfortunately, cops are painted in a wrong light, in a very wrong light. Okay, but it's even with
How
that,
do we make
it's-
that better? How do we make the cops better? How do we make them? I mean, I love my police officers. I really do. But every once in a while, I bump into a guy, and he says, the mayor said, I have to stand on this corner. I have to come after you. You are grown men, you police officers. If somebody tells me to do something wrong, I know I want my job, but you can't just go after a community or because your boss says it. I mean, you know that. Sometimes they just, I don't know. I believe there's a few of them that just are too tough, and they just don't understand that they work for the people. Is that possible? Am I wrong?
Well, it depends what you're talking about. You're conflating a bunch of different things. You can't blame the poor cop who's got a sergeant and a lieutenant
I
and
know.
a captain.
I
And a
know.
commander or
Why? Why can't I blame them? Why can't I blame them?
because you can't.
Because you can't.
You just can't,
Because
actually.
they
They're
have,
they're
they have
doing
a
their
reg
job.
structure.
They're doing
There's
their
a
job,
reg
my
structure.
friend.
It's a paramilitary organization. I mean, if you have a problem with a policy, that's where you got to take it up with the mayor.
Not with the mayor, with you, and you have to go there and scream and holler.
Well, if you like, I will.
Okay.
So can I ask both of you gentlemen a question? A little.
I want to ask one more question, very important question. This is for the education. Big time. You guys are big time on education. You all scream education. We have a problem because a lot of the Jewish schools are private educated. Our boys are pretty decently educated. You're right. We're not the top of the line, but
That's
listen.
not true. I went to yeshiva.
I went to,
and
you
went
and
to
I,
yeshiva.
college kids, and
Okay.
a lot of our boys just finished the 12th grade. They don't want to go into college. They get good jobs. My question to you is they want us now to teach other stuff, transgender, sex education. They're passing these rules, and they're allowing it into our schools when we're telling them no. And they're saying that if we don't do it, they're going to take away our funding. It's wrong. What are you going to do? Can you help us?
Well, so now let's parse this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So are you talking about they're requiring yeshivas to
So the
treat?
board of
tell me.
regents, right? The board of regents basically, even that's an administrative agency. It's
Yeah.
not right. Has come up promulgated a bunch of new rules and
Rules and
ordinances.
regulations for private
And they want to
schools.
right, and it's really targeted at the yeshivas because the Catholic schools, for the most part, they have opposed in this on the same side as the yeshiva. But it's really targeted because the groundswell started with some disassociated people from the Jewish
Yes.
Orthodox Jewish community, the Hasidic community. Some people came out and they went down a different path, and now they
They're
caused some
bitter.
problems. They're bitter and they cause. So basically, it's been targeted at the Hasidic community and the ultra Orthodox.
Modern Orthodox
It's
community.
even just regular Orthodox
Right.
as well. And basically, many of the items that are going to be taught violate our religious beliefs. And there's a clear First Amendment issue, and it's also just
I
legally
believe
speaking-
they also hurting Vito and
Yeah,
Dmitri's
any
religious beliefs.
any religious
He
beliefs.
doesn't want his children to do
any
stuff like
religious
that.
It also takes away parental autonomy.
Yes.
Right? Which is a very big issue because apparently parents have no rights in this country, in the state, other than terminating a pregnancy. But that's the only right a parent has in the state anymore. So I guess Heshy's question is, what's your position on it? How you are you willing to commit to fighting for your constituents who want to be able to educate their children in a manner that's consistent with their personal, religious, and ethical beliefs?
Of course, we're going to use America. Of course, we're going to teach them science, math, but we're going to give us the education. And if we want to continue, like my son to college, it's fine. But don't force sex education. Don't force the transgender. We just had a transgender lady
Leave it alone.
tricked herself into a Jewish school. Nobody
It
knew.
was a man who
A man who made
dressed
believe,
up.
and we couldn't fire her. We
Yeah,
had
we
to
did.
buy her out.
They fired her.
They didn't
They
fire her.
fired
They
him.
bought her out.
All right, whatever.
We-
But anyway, let's answer the question.
We should be allowed. We should be allowed in our religious synagogues and schools not to. And I know you're not going to like this too. I have no problem with the gay community, but if we don't want to marry you, we don't want to marry you. Go to
That's
civil
correct.
court.
Yes.
They force us to do this. Vito, these laws, you have so many, Dmitry, you have so much. I know there's 18,000 pieces of legislation that you're going to sit when you get elected. Are you crazy? You can't do 18,000. You got to throw some of them out. Some of them are crazy. Stop. Bring up something to run our city, run our state. You got to take these stupid legislation. It's crazy. And you don't tell me that you read 50, 200 pages times 18,000. It's not possible. A little blurb. I believe that every single politician gets elected has to sign a paper. I read the whole bill or the whole legislation.
Oh, nothing we get done. But so listen, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
So I'm on the Community Education Council. Everyone knows what that is, right? That's like a school board for New York City. And I have, there's a community of conservative Christians, conservative Jews, and conservative Muslims who are up in arms about specifically what you're talking about. Now, again, you're right. I support the gay community. I support the gay community. I support the trans community.
You're American. You're supposed to support your fellow citizens.
We support everybody. However, what I don't support is inappropriate content that's in the schools. And what they're pushing into the schools is just not appropriate for the grades and for the ages that they're doing it. And furthermore, Catholic schools, yeshivas, Islamic schools, they should not be forced to do anything that violate their was sincerely held religious belief.
So I have a question for both of you gentlemen. I'll start with Dmitry. Right now, there is a supermajority in the state assembly, and you're running for,
Everywhere.
and the state assembly.
No, the Senate, I hear, is going to fight
But
back.
right now,
I hear you're going to get
right
rid
now,
of your majority.
but
Good for
more
you.
likely than not, if things stay the same, and even if a handful of Republicans do it, there's a good chance that things are going to stay the same for the next cycle, which means that you're going to be the minority party with a Democratic Party that even when Lee Zeldin gets elected, will have an override, will be able to override any veto he has. What could you do as a minority party and a member of the minority party in both in your respective either assembly or the Senate?
Go ahead,
Very,
Dimitri.
very good question. So, basically, when it comes down to it, deals are to be made.
Correct.
Today, no one cares. Basically, we come out with a slew of crazy laws that don't benefit anyone and hurt people in the process. There's no one you could approach and say, hey, you know what? I want 10 of these that benefit my people, and I'll vote for one of yours, which is still going to get passed, no matter what.
Right. So again, I mean, what you're proposing is a brokering, but the problem is, as you just said, your minority party, especially in the assembly, where they don't need your vote.
They do.
Only if they want to get an override.
Correct.
Only if they want an override. But if they're not going to have an override, right?
No. There's a bargaining chip every single time. Some new laws come out. Let's say I don't like them at all. I'm not voting for them. But let's say there's some that are okay, you know, and you know for a fact they won't pass the Senate. But you have a law somewhere in the works that you're going to need the Democrats to vote for.
Right, but you have to get Heshy to put it on the floor in the first place.
Exactly.
He's not going to.
Why not?
Because he hasn't done it until now.
Well, Hesty's an okay guy.
No, but the problem is the way New York State, unfortunately, the way New York State politics have been run, 3 people make all the decisions in the state. The governor, the Senate leader, and the states and the speaker
with
of the
a
assembly.
Republican governor, the assembly has way more pull as a minority. Way more pull.
Only if
A Republican governor
only if the Senate breaks the supermajority.
Well, we
and
need,
a Republican governor is in.
No, but I'm saying only. I agree. But if you have a Republican governor with a supermajority in the assembly, the only way you get your latitude is if you could break the supermajority in the Senate. Am I correct?
Can I say something here on
Please
this?
do.
The problem is the moderate Democrats in the middle have no cover now.
They don't exist anymore.
Well, there's some, not
But
too
they
many.
don't exist. They're quiet.
Well, the problem is those few moderates will come over to the Republicans, but now the Republicans have there's no power, no juice, no ability. So at least some of those moderate Republicans. And what will happen is if enough Republicans win, and it doesn't have to break the supermajority, but if enough Republicans will win, a lot of Democrats will get the message that, hey, being crazy progressive is not really working for me to stay in office. I better make my policies a lot more moderate. That's my
Do you
opinion.
see us turning more Republican, George? Do you see us embracing the Republican, or you're just seeing a couple of guys, maybe a few more joining, or do you see a change?
I have seen something on the street that I have never seen before. I see Asians. I see Middle Eastern people, Pakistani, Bengalis. I see Hispanic people. that are saying this year, and I don't know if it's going to be a long-term trend or not, and Vito can see it and Dmitry sees it, they're saying, I'm voting Republican. I've had enough.
African American?
Well, we don't have that much in our
No,
district.
not you, but I'm talking in general.
The answer is
because-
yeah. I think the answer is yes. By the way.
Yeah.
The answer
I
is
think
yes
the answer
across
is
the
yes.
board.
The answer is yes.
Everyone's afraid. That's the bottom line. No one wants to take the subway and not come home.
I know.
Listen, you're a working guy. You're a Asian guy, a Chinese guy. You're working in a restaurant in Manhattan. You come home. You're worried about getting. You made $200-300 waiting tables. You're worried about getting. Yeah. You're worried about getting stabbed and robbed on the train now. That's a real concern.
So Vito, you Mr. Policeman, guns. Can I have my gun? Can I have my gun? They're going to rob me, George tells me. They're going to stab me. They're going to get me. Can I have my gun? I don't even need to run around with it on the street. I want to have it in my house.
Well,
wanna
I
have
think
it
the
in my house.
Supreme Court answered the question.
It did?
but
You're-
the
you're
problem-
gonna-
I
Your
think
mayor doesn't let.
I think the problem. I think what Heshy's trying to say right now is we know that this is a very pro-gun control state, right? The law that the Supreme Court overturned was a New York State law, and the response was to make it pass another unconstitutional law.
I agree.
And when that one gets struck down, there'll be another unconstitutional law that's going to be brought to the floor of the Senate, the floor of the Assembly.
I think
Do
we
you
could
believe
find
in Second
something that
Amendment
we
rights?
could, absolutely, I think we could find something that we'd work with. Specifically, someone should be able to have a premise permit with very, very few restrictions. I guess if they're not a convicted felon, if they go to the basic training, maybe
Yeah, but now retired police
But what
officers
do you
like
mean by
yourself can't even
convicted
get a gun.
felon? Can't,
No,
I mean,
it's-
does it have to be a violent crime? What happens if
They
he's
can't- no.
convicted over something stupid?
Yeah,
I mean, this
you
is
can't get
something
it
we can talk about.
If it's a felony, it's a felony.
A convicted
Yeah.
felon cannot get a gun in New York.
No matter
in
what.
America. In America, it's illegal. It's a federal law.
It's a
But
federal law.
But the
Thank
thing,
you.
No, it's a federal law. They can't. That's basically.
Well, a
If you get
federal
a-
law that marijuana can never be legal since
no, they
1932,
passed right now.
and
the
now
way
you're
the-
legalizing it.
Actually, the way what I'm trying to say is, until you could get 60 U.S. senators and a majority of the House of Representatives and the President of the United States to all sign on that they're going to get rid of. Once convicted of a crime, you cannot have a gun. It's even even technically misdemeanors could bar you from being able to have a gun.
Domestic
legally.
violence.
Right. So unless you're going to get rid of it, and it's not going to happen.
I agree. Domestic,
But it's not going to
violent
happen.
crime.
It's not going to happen.
I don't really. I wouldn't advocate it for anyway.
Right, exactly. But it's not going to happen. I'm talking about more of right now. We're trying to restrict laws from law-abiding citizens. So,
So
and-
let me. I've thought about this. I mean, listen, it's all a work in progress, right? Everything is, but if we should have graduated licensing, and the licensing for a premise permit is different than
Yeah.
someone that wants to carry on the subway.
Like,
and if you want to carry on the subway, if you want to go and I have to go the HR 218. I'm sure you know what that is. That's the federal guidelines that police officers, retired police officers,
that's
have
even
to.
hard. They're making it much more difficult for retired.
Yes,
officers, right?
they are. So they should have some kind of training and licenses and indemnification in place. And if you're willing to do that, you want to carry on the subway, then I think you should be allowed to carry on the subway.
My father-in-law was a court officer, just for your knowledge, for 31
there we
years.
go. He carried.
He had a gun when he retired. He had to give it up because he had to do this extra stuff. And my mother-in-law said, no, we don't want guns no more. Get rid of them, sell them. But he was very upset. He really wanted
should have kept his gun.
He loved, I know. He wanted it in his house for protection for his young 5 daughters. And I agree. We have somebody on the phone that wants to talk to you. Me? You want me to move again? I'm too close to Vito. I love Vito.
So I guess.
Can I sit next? What do you want from me, God's sakes?
Okay,
I'm
so
joking.
nobody's on the phone. So I'm going to ask
Nobody's
Dmitry
on the
same
phone.
question.
Lenny didn't call in? Oh, we got Lenny on the phone. I want
before
Lenny.
we have
Okay,
before
go
we
ahead.
have Lenny,
Before
I'm
we
going to
have
ask
Lenny.
Dmitry the same question. So right now, I think there's 2 big problems I see. Right.
Yeah.
One is that there's attack on basically law-abiding people in the city. Right. If I'm a citizen, I'm getting attacked by people on the streets, criminals. There's also an attack by the government on my rights. So right. So I guess my question is, we know the Second Amendment just there's the gun laws in New York are going to have to change because the Supreme Court of the United States keeps on. What's your position on it?
We already put up signs. I mean, what else can we do?
But the signs are unconstitutional in the first place.
Yeah. Going in your social media.
Yeah, did you like that one of your assemblymen ripping down signs from I mean, I'm embarrassed. Whatever you want to tell me, he says that law makes other people more lawless. I mean,
Here's the thing.
ask him about it.
Here's the thing.
yeah.
To be fair, this shouldn't have happened. It's just someone who really, really wanted to take down those posters, he did.
He's not like a kid on the street. He's a politician, a
Did you see the
respected
numbers?
man.
Did you see the numbers?
Yes.
Everyone is pissed off that Hochul is losing.
It's true. I mean, look, you know,
So you go out and you
I
hurt
haven't
your
seen
neighbor.
I haven't seen
know,
a pro Kathy Hochul sign
but
anywhere.
By
in
the
New
way,
York City.
I want you to know.
Am I correct about that?
I know. I know you guys like Simcha Feld, and he's a Jewish guy. He's my neighbor, and I'm his adversary for many years. But recently he just like today, I think he lost his mother of 102 years old. I'm going to his house. I'm going to pay a shiva call. I do go to my neighbors. I do go to the people because we still a community. Just because I have a fight with Vito or I scream at him on the street doesn't mean that I'm not going to be his friend. We have political differences. I always felt that if you're not going to voice your opinion and always hide and be quiet, the same thing over here. I mean, a man, because he doesn't like you go out and hurt your fellow man, or you throw something at his window, or you draw a SWAT sticker because you think he's Jewish or black, it's just foolish.
The issue is, it's not me versus you. It's us versus them. This is what they think. This is what their mentality has become. It's not, I want to help my neighbor who's a Democrat or a liberal or whoever else. It's that I want to kill him because he's dead.
Right.
On both sides. Are you correct? Is that fair to say it's on both sides right now? I mean,
No,
civil
no.
discourse in this country is
So,
gone.
I'll tell you this much. The Republicans, the New York Republicans,
are you-
different breed of Republicans.
You're 100% correct.
The New York Republicans, I have never seen them be so friendly to each other and the opposition ever.
I agree with him. I
do
do agree with him.
What I see now is we're going out. We're being really friendly and really vocal about everything to explain to our fellow neighbors. Doesn't matter what their political affiliation is, religion, whatever. I want you to be alive. I want your kids to be safe. I want your parents to get a proper doctor's appointment tomorrow, not 4 months from now.
Good.
I don't want you to spend everything you make to put food in your kids' mouths.
Yeah. We feed 150 families every week, me and my cousin, and it's just hard. Vito, you before we take a phone call from Lenny the cop, you're going to be a little bit of shock. I have a problem with drugs. I'm sorry, and mental illness. I have a lot of young boys and girls who hurt themselves. I have one kid that lit himself on fire. Got in our community alone $20,000 last year for postpartum depression, when some other communities got $40 million. I don't know if you guys have been involved or seen people with issues or been related to any, but this is a very big problem, not only in the homeless issues, which is another subject that I want you guys to address, the homeless issue. We got to fix that. 60,000 people are on the street. But mental illness is not being addressed. We talk about it. We don't know how to do it. You guys, Mr. Policeman, know everything about it. You've been taught, you've been trained, you've been attacked, you know it. Fix it, please.
Well, thank you. Okay, like this, I'll fix it.
I need it. I can't.
So
I see it. It's terrible. I can't go to I can't.
What we got to understand is that most mentally ill people are not a danger to themselves, are not a danger to the others, but the ones
They're
that
not
are.
mentally ill.
No.
I'm talking to people that have some mental minor
No,
issues.
so he's asking you a question. Just hear him out.
So okay, so you're talking about someone with minor mental illness? I
Right,
don't understand.
minor,
maybe.
or it could get to the point we just don't have in this community.
Yeah.
We have 2 total youth centers for the Jewish boys. 2. One of them is run by us. 2, not 20. 1 drug center. 1. We need more. We need a place that I can go at nighttime where I can crash. I can go ask questions. I can go for some help. I can go get some help for funding. I know that a lot of the big guys know how to do it, but there are people that are lost. Some of the people, they come out of the hospital. They have no idea on how to handle postpartum depression. But if we had 2, 3, 4 different centers, we had more drug outpatient centers here. Not just Maimonides, because Maimonides Hospital tortures these people. I've seen them. I've taken them in there.
So what do you mean by that?
We need programs like outreach programs, places that we can call with proper educated how do I say it, professionals to help us with our issues. We know we have an issue. We have nowhere to go. We can't go to the hospital to fill out forms because till we see a doctor, it could take forever. There's no money
I mean,
here.
aren't there all hotlines? I mean, in my experience,
You're not
it's
going
the
to call
people
hotline.
who
I need a place
No
to
one
go.
wants to call and get advice.
Right.
People want to see each other, look someone in the eye, see a professional, and ask for help.
Get comforted. Fill out a form. Get them money. Get them to a doctor.
Nobody wants to fill out forms.
Yeah, I
either.
don't want to talk to you, Vito. I love you. But what are you going to tell me? Oh, Heshy, don't kill yourself. Don't cut your throat. No, I'm trying to get to see a psychiatrist. I don't know how to fill out the forms. I don't know where to go. I can't get an appointment.
So what happens? You walk into an emergency room.
So the problem with emergency room, the only thing they do is they'll put you in a psych ward for 3 days. Until you get to see a doctor is 2 days. And then if they're too busy, they let you out after a day. And you want to be locked up with your wife who's just having a bad day or needs to have issues. Most of the time, all she needs is a pill or to go see a psychiatrist once a month. But again, we don't have these
So are you
programs
talking
here.
about people without medical insurance?
No,
No,
you
he's
even
talking-
have medical
he's
insurance. You
talking
still
about
have an
just
issue.
Generally, I mean, you have to listen. Maimonides Hospital is probably it's
The
located-
only
it's,
one.
It's also, Borough Park, our area, Orthodox. We have a high rate of undiagnosed postpartum depression as well as diagnosed postpartum depression because we also have
You
very
can
high
have
birth rates.
insurance. We
But
still
the thing
won't
is,
see you.
it's you have the problem is
Insurance doesn't help.
getting the help.
There's not enough providers, private providers.
Not enough, even with private providers, then you have to come up with money. Like our special needs kids. The schools got $160 million last year from your assembly. $160 million. Do you know how much money our children get every time they go see one of your special ed teachers? I know because I have one here, $15. Where's the other $100? I'll tell you where the $100 is. I have to come out of my pocket, pay this teacher an extra $100 while I get $15 3 times a month. For you, Vito, you're a big shot. You have no problem. Add that by 12. That's $4,000 that I don't have to come up that my special needs kid needs. And I'm talking about the same thing with postpartum depression. A young lady that came out of the hospital that has problem with herself. She has nowhere to go. She goes to the hospital, sits there, fills out the forms. They do 3 different, I know, I've taken them there. I've gone through these issues. They finally get an appointment. You're looking at, if they get to see a psychiatrist, it's 1 after 2 or 3 months. And if they want, they say, well, you got to go to a private guy, $300, $400, $500 if you want somebody professional. Because these guys are like the DAs or the public defenders, and they're overworked and overbusy. We are not addressing the people's local issues. We need more money for mental help. I don't know how to describe it to you.
So you're talking about maybe providers who are working for maybe drop-in centers.
Yes.
We have drop-in centers, and how do we fund that?
That's my problem. I don't know how to. You spent $1.5 billion, Mrs. De Blasio.
Well, I didn't spend.
I know that. So we need you to find out.
I would have done a better job. I promise you that.
I guess-
know you
So,
would've.
so there is a plan. I have one.
Good.
All right, G, come on.
It's not huge. It's still in the works. But what I see during the Obama administration, there was, I think, in those 8 years, more nonprofits popped up and received public funding than the 53 years prior put together. We need to audit them.
Yes.
We need to audit them. We need to understand what they do. Odds are more than half don't provide any assistance to the public.
Right.
That's where the money's at.
Right. During COVID.
If there's $1 billion allocated for someone who sits at home and makes Twitter posts of how bad the cops are and we need to defund them, no more funding.
You know how many billions of dollars you guys spent, I mean, the politicians spent on COVID, having regular guys. I know a guy who owns a bookstore, and he was able to be a COVID I mean, how do you open up that you're able to give people shots on COVID or tested? You need doctors. You need professionals. They ended up paying, this guy made millions of dollars by having a little shop changed into a COVID testing and to give shots. I did not I mean, I took the shot because I wanted to volunteer in the hospital, and I didn't think that me, the big fat guy, could ever be hurt by any stupid little virus. But, and I never got COVID. I tried. Really, I tried. I did. I went to every
You're very
wedding. I
lucky.
kissed
You're very
everybody. I couldn't get it. I tried. My point is you can't. They're not even giving it to the right people to provide us. That's my whole point. We don't have the right professionals being funded. We're funding anybody who wants to pop out of the blue. Like he said, open up a non-for-profit and you're good to go. We need a doctor to do his doctor thing, a psychiatrist who are not making enough money to pay them, but let the city add a little bit more so they'll take people like me. Anyways, let's take Lenny. Lenny, where are you? Are you getting Lenny on the phone? Hello, Lenny? No? Where's
Hello?
Hey, Lenny.
How are you, Hesh?
I have a guest of yours, a friend, not a friend of yours, maybe not, Vito Labella. I love that. I'm going to make a lot of fun of you tonight with Linda. Vito, Lenny, Vito says we have no problems.
Did I say that?
No.
This
is going to make Lenny crazy right now. Here we go. Ready, sit back, buckle up.
I got about 14 minutes to get everything I want.
You got two. No, Lenny. You got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes. My guests still have to talk. Go ahead, Lenny. Talk to them.
Okay, well, here's the first thing. You said before cops are cops angry. I don't think they're angry. I think they're frustrated. You're taking all our tools away.
Yep.
We go to a scene. Somebody's cursing us out. Years ago, you got a retired lieutenant there. He did 30-something years. Years ago, we took him in a radio car, we brought him to the station house, and that was it. Today, nobody wants to put the hands on him. They don't want a disc on him. They say, we can't do this no more, we can't do that no more. What do you want the police to do? It's not the police fault. It's the DAs, it's the catch and release, okay? I'm watching the debates the other night between Hochul and that other piece of garbage, Schumer. And all they're saying is Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Abortion, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. That's all. You're fighting for a slot to be the governor. You're fighting for a slot to be the senator. And all you can mention is January 6th and Donald Trump. This is what you're going to make people vote for you for? Okay? You got the assemblymen walking around in Midwood taking signs off of people's lawns and stuff like that. You got the girl who's running for Arizona governor, Kerry Lake, okay? By a reporter asks her about the election in 2020 again. She answered perfectly. When it was 2016 and Hillary Clinton was complaining about the election results, nobody said anything. Okay, Donald Trump says there's problems with the election. The whole country, like, get the orange guy out of here.
Lenny, stop a moment. That's a very good point. Vito and Dmitry, do you think, I'm not asking you conspiracy, don't worry about it. Do you think that we're going to lose? Do you think that they trick us? Do you think they're stealing votes? Is there a problem? Because I did go to a few poll sites last time. I saw broken machines, shut down voting. Somebody told me that they double voted. They gave out. Is there a problem with the election? Do you think they can steal the election? Or do you think everything is above board?
Go, Dmitry.
Dmitry, there you go. If anybody should answer, it should be you.
I get all the crazy ones.
Go ahead, Dmitry. Will this election be stolen or there's no chance?
In the past 3 days...
Are you going to be watching, by the way?
Oh, yeah. In the past 3 days, we've had about a dozen elderly people approach us and say, last time we went to vote, the translators at the poll sites told us, don't vote Republican because your vote will not count. Just vote Democrat because it will.
But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying...
Hold on. That's cheating.
That's the biggest form of cheating, by the way.
No. I'm tricking you to change your vote. That's what
that's the biggest form of
I'm
cheating.
talking about double voting, stuffing boxes.
But wait, when you take advantage of someone who's senile...
Okay.
Or not speaking English.
Or not speaking English or not understanding what they're doing... I mean, that's worse than anything else.
You can't go in there, but I'm talking about double stuffing the ballots.
We've had that. Look, this year is very, very different. We're hiring tons and tons of people to be watchers at these poll sites. There's no way someone's going to come in.
Identification. Why is New York you don't have to show identification? All they're looking at is my signature.
I'm 100% with you on that one. It's bull.
I got a 70-year-old lady with the gray hair and glasses looking at my signature. I never signed my signatures the same way twice. You're asking me what my address is. Let me pull out my license, give a look at my license, see that it matches, and I vote. Come on. It's a democratic city.
No,
You
but
know, I'm
Dimitri,
getting
you
frustrated
are
here.
part of the
Very
state.
frustrated.
Woman, Eleni, but you are part of the state laws with the assembly and the state senate. You can change that law.
Correct.
You-
And I'm all for it.
Are we having?
And I'm
are we
all
gonna have
for
that-
it.
are we
And you
gonna
will
have
try to
voting?
bring a
Yes, we will try to do it.
Vito?
Where is it in the ballots? Where is it in the ballots? What? Maybe I missed it when they put the speed limits in there with the cameras. Maybe I missed that too. All right. Come out here to Staten Island. Every $5 there's either a speed camera or a red light camera. How much money do you want from the middle class people in this country? How much money?
And those cameras are state issued cameras.
They are.
24 hours a day now.
But
Yes,
they're only supposed to be assigned to schools.
You got the
and-
kids going to school at 3
Right.
o'clock in the morning.
But I
You gotta
understand
watch
that
at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's studying.
it's made for protection, not to ticket and
Yes,
torture.
yes,
Hold
you
on.
know that.
Lenny.
Yes.
My,
Lenny, woman,
my
let-
parents live on Staten Island. Every time I go to visit them, I expect
You
a
get
ticket.
ticket.
It's like I got to pay a tax to
That's
visit
crazy.
them.
Listen,
Well, look.
America has to wake up. New York has to wake up. If you're gonna go and you're not gonna vote for Zeldin, you gotta be out of your mind.
Zeldin,
Okay?
Kugel, and Labella, Lenny.
Lenny-
Zeldin,
Lenny,
Kugel,
that's-
Kugel.
Kugel, and
I'm
Labella.
going to excuse.
Labella.
I'm just
So-
gonna-
so
I'm gonna
here's the-
start
here's the
talking. I'm sorry,
thing.
David, just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. We're running out of time. I just want to make sure both gentlemen have enough time to explain
Their
where they're
issues.
running, their issues, who they're running against.
Right, we're going to
They,
let them
they were
do
very
that.
generous with their
Can I
time.
ask one more question?
It's your
One
show.
more. Congestion pricing. That is your state problem. It's not a city. You're making us pay, and Jersey buddies, Staten Island people that are going to start running around. Can we stop it? Because it was stupid. It's a stupid rule.
Yeah, places that implemented it for years and then they got rid of it because it didn't work. You're not going to stop congestion. You're going to move the congestion
Right.
from
Bronx.
Manhattan to the outer boroughs.
okay.
There's
One more thing
bipartisan.
Before you guys take it back, one more thing. Don't worry about what's going to go up in inflation. Wait a little bit more when there's no diesel fuel. Okay, all your delivery trucks, your fire trucks, your EMS is all diesel fuel. Let Biden keep shutting down the refineries that produce diesel. He's draining us with our oil, with our gasoline supplies. He's draining our reserve. Okay, so then you can do your complaining when you don't even see a fire truck because it's got no gas.
He's right back.
Lenny, I love you. Thank you for calling in. I love you, Lenny. I'll talk to you
I'm
during
gonna
the...
go have a drink now.
Enjoy.
Me and Vito, we're going to tell us where you are. We're going to come
L'chaim,
find you.
8 minutes.
all right?
8 minutes, Lenny.
Thank you,
Very
Lenny.
Republican. Bye-bye.
Bye. Vito, we got a few minutes left. We'd like to know straight out from you. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're going to do. What is your plan? I know we're only giving you 4 or 5 minutes, and you can't just tell us everything. We want to know why we're going to vote for you and what are you going to do to help us? Because you heard all my complaints and issues. I have many, many more. My whole list is 10 times bigger. But tell us what you're going to do for us.
So listen, I worked for 32 years in the police department. I retired. I had zero intention of doing anything like this. Okay, but 5 years ago, I was a PTA president at 187 Krista McAuliffe School, and that's when 6 months after I started that gig, the De Blasio and Carranza says we're going to mess with the specialized high schools.
Right.
Right. Do you remember that?
Sure.
Yeah, my middle school was 67% Asian. They were sending, out of 300 kids, they were sending 275, 280 kids to these schools. And all of a sudden, it was going to go from that down to 30 kids. That's what they were going to try to do. And the parents came to me and they said, Vito, can you help us? And I'm like, I could have walked away. I could have said, no, listen, that's not my thing. I just want to be the PTA president. I don't want to do it. But you know what? They needed help. And they needed someone to help them. So I rolled up my sleeves, and we could work together with the community, and we helped them. We marched over the Brooklyn Bridge. I testified at the hearings, the Senate, the Assembly, the Council. Okay, I was doing this work. And you know what? I'm going to continue to help people. I've done it in the past. I have a track record of reaching out. As a cop, I reached out to every single community. I made sure all my cops were treated fairly. And in my PTA, I made sure that we reached out to the Arabic community, the Hispanic community, the the Chinese community and made sure everything was given in their home language. And that's what I'm going to do as a senator. I'm going to make sure that every single person is heard. And as a Republican, I'm taking it upon myself to say I'm going to reach out to communities that maybe haven't seen a Republican in a while. You spoke about the black community. I think we need to get a nucleus, and I think we need to expand that nucleus, and we need to show why the Republican conservative policies are more impactful, are going to help these communities of color, all communities, more than these progressive, crazy Democrats. And one more thing, charter schools, get rid of that cap. Charter schools go into communities of color, and they work in the same neighborhoods with the same kids, and those kids in charter schools, they outperform the public school kids, hands down. Why isn't the public school going in with a book and saying, okay, what are you doing, and then try to recreate it?
Exactly.
Okay, but that's exactly what they should be doing. And you know what? I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna get in there, and I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna help people, and people first. That's what I'm saying. I promise.
People first.
Dmitry, how about you?
I'm going to let Dmitry go, but I want to ask you, I hate marijuana. I know, I don't want to hear it. I can't take drugs because I know you think it's good, but I see these young kids smoking it. The next day they can't work. The next day they can get up. Okay, it doesn't affect them. I don't understand. You allowed your mayor to pass this stupid, and then he goes on national television and hands out marijuana. You want to go do it in your house? You can't legalize it. You can't let me sell it. You can't. My kids are going to buy it.
The genie's out of the bottle. How do you put it back in? The genie was out of the bottle the first time they allowed Colorado. Colorado made it legal, recreational, and that was it. We know it was only a matter of time. But they didn't do it the right way. I'll tell you that right now.
Massachusetts, you have signs on it saying you buy marijuana while you're driving. Literally, you have those big billboards.
Yep.
Stop by here, get your marijuana, and keep going.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though.
And New York's going to follow.
But here's the deal that I have a house in Massachusetts. Funny thing you may have heard. In a state. Thank you very much. and when you go to the recreational marijuana dispensaries, it is so well run. You have to show your license. Everything is above board. Everything is labeled. It's not like we have 200 illegal smoke shops in Bay Ridge.
Exactly.
All over the place.
22.
I mean, this is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. We need to fix the law and make sure that we have proper licensing in place, and we need to close down all the places that shouldn't be selling marijuana that are.
I'll show you a lot of places in my neighborhood. Dmitry, the drug problem, and tell us about yourself and what we're going to do and what's your plan for us.
The drug problem is real. Fentanyl,
Ugh.
marijuana, cocaine. Think about it. It's here. It's here. You could go in a corner and get it now. The illegal marijuana shops, no one's busting them. No one's bothering them. No one's walking in there. You could walk in, you could buy whatever you want. The good thing is, if they get arrested, they could actually get a real license.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
They only give out licenses
Those
to...
are the ones that get priority now.
Correct.
Get licensed.
Yeah.
That's our mayor's idea.
Oh, wow.
So
Basically,
what else is your plan? Go ahead.
I'm running on a platform to help everyone, to make things better. It's in my nature to help out people. It's in my nature to make sure that all of my neighbors are taken care of.
Oh, maybe your neighbors only the Russians, but not the Jews, or maybe the the Asians or so much.
I've been helping out the Muslim community for probably over 10 years. We've been feeding and providing food during hard times, various nonprofits. At its peak, we would dole out around 34,000 meals per month.
Wow.
It was insane. It doesn't matter if I'm white or black or Jewish or Catholic or whatever it is. If you're a mensch, you're a mensch. Doesn't matter where you come from. What we got today is, well, like I said before, no one cares about each other. People don't care about their neighbors. People don't care about their cousins, their families. They just want to live and not be bothered. It's not a place where I grew up. We used to help out each other. Mothers used to, watch each other's kids. Grandmothers used to feed each other's kids. We used to play in parks until it got dark. Nobody cared.
Right.
Today,
I remember that.
yeah, today,
Yeah.
There you go,
Yeah,
Vito.
yeah.
He remembers that.
I do.
today you can't let your kids cross the street because you're afraid.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen? You're not afraid that they're going to get beat up or robbed. You're afraid that they're going to get beat up or robbed, and they will never, ever, ever catch whoever did it.
Yeah.
People can't live like this anymore. Now, many Democrats are saying that the media, the news, are making us crazy. They put it in all our heads that this crime is up and this is up and that is up. No. Walk outside. Walk outside. Recently, me and Vito were in Manhattan. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Rush hour.
Yep.
You see people shooting up, not smoking, shooting up heroin on Broadway. Is that something you want your kids to see? Is that something that's become normal? This is disgusting. These woke policies are allowing people with real issues to die. And they're sponsoring it. We have legal crack houses that allow you to come in with your own drugs. They'll give you a clean needle and watch you shoot it up.
That's right.
Yeah, it's 100% right. It's 100% right. We have legal heroin
Yeah, I'm
dens.
saying, but he's saying that they let it.
We have legal heroin dens.
2 of them. And they want to bring them to every single community.
4 now.
4 now? Yeah,
Why
I don't
can't you
believe
let
in
me
them.
bring my mental illness and youth centers instead of your crazy drug centers? I agree with you. You guys are
Kill the drug dens, open up mental health clinics.
Oh, that's that's what I want. Mental health clinics. I can walk. Yes, maybe I don't have an issue. Maybe I just want somebody to diagnose me. I'm having a
Not
bad
even
day.
diagnose. Not even diagnose.
Help you.
You just want someone to be nice to you for 5 minutes.
I agree. That's what we need. A lot of these kids have nowhere to go. A lot of these women just want to sneak away and say, listen, I have this issue. Maybe you can guide me. Maybe you can give me a prescription. Maybe you can
So we could do it with training, Hesh, like psychiatric nurse practitioners,
Yes.
psychiatric nurses even,
Beautiful.
and let
But
them
we need money.
be able to
We need
practice.
money,
Yeah,
and we're not getting
it's
it.
licensing and it's also practice.
Okay,
we need-
so fix it. That's
we
why we
need
have you.
MSWs who care. We need social workers who understand what your problem is. Because if we bring in someone who's not familiar
I know.
with the neighborhood, who's not familiar with how
Every
we are,
neighborhood does have qualified people. Find them. Put their centers in their
Exactly.
community. Exactly. Like a lot. Question before we end the show, which we're ending now. You still haven't stopped the mandates. I want it gone. You can bring it back at any time. It's got to end. You guys have to make a bill and pass. And
get
say,
rid of all of them.
all
Lee
of them.
Zeldin said he would get rid of mandates day
so
one.
here's my question. In the unlikely scenario where Lee Zeldin does not win, and we're stuck with Kathy Hochul, who's been
Don't joke.
abusing, in the unlikely situation. I mean, my biggest criticism of the Assembly, the Senate, and New York City Council, and actually most legislative branches throughout the country is that they abdicated their power to an executive. They made it the executive, the one person who makes all decisions by just saying the word COVID or saying there's a health emergency. Could you promise your constituents you can actually do your job? You're going to legislate as opposed to letting a executive make all the rules in the state?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How about you, Dmitry?
We've been through this road many, many times. Wokeness does not work. History repeats itself. We need to stop. We need to understand that everyone wants to live how they want to live. It's my job to take care of my kids and explain to them what sex is.
Right.
It's not their job.
Vito.
Yes.
Listen. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's my job to take him to my doctor. You are not my doctor. I'm 59 years old. Father, foster father, grandfather, a businessman. I know how to take care of myself and children and go to the right professionals. You don't have to tell me how to do it and to command me. Anyways, my friends, I love you. Everybody, don't forget, November 8th, you're going to go out to vote for Vito Lablla. I love you. District number 17.
Yes.
And we're going to...
State Senate.
State Senate.
Correct.
Not Assembly. I didn't say
State
Assembly.
Senate.
State Senate. District 17.
Right, exactly.
17th District. I'm sorry. And then, of course, we have Dmitry Kugel. I love you. The 47th Assembly District. Again, guys, you're allowed to
You
vote.
gonna get rid of Mr. Colton after all these years?
Am I what?
Will you put Mr. Colton out to retirement after all these years?
I mean, the weather's nice in Florida.
Go out. Vote for my friend Dmitry Kugel. Vote. George, what do you got to say? Say it, George.
Tell him what Colton said.
Oh, yeah. And I quote, direct quote, the KKK started with good intentions by well-intentioned people.
Oh gosh. KKK.
End of quote.
Google it. It's Assemblyman Colton.
Colton, not Google.
Thank you, everybody, for
Google's
coming
not for
to
the KKK.
Come on back next week, everybody. We're going to give you some election results.
And we're gonna congratulate
and we're
these two
gonna
men and
give
gentlemen.
congratulations. I'm going to try to sneak into Vito's party because I know it's going to be a big one. People shooting in the air their guns. Good night, everybody. Thank you
Good
so
luck,
much.
gentlemen.
Play the
Good luck.